Hi guys, sorry I was gone so long. Unexpected trip to a place where the internet don't shine. So let's get down to business. I was going to tell you about the antisocial personality. And in order to do that properly and to put things into proper perspective, I'm going to tell you two things first. The common denominator of all existence, and we're going to cover the subject of right and wrong, so that you can understand what judgment is made out of. Because in order to judge people, it is necessary to know these things. Now, first step. The common denominator of all existence is survival. All things, all life is trying to survive. It doesn't matter if a guy is committing suicide. Believe it or not, even he's trying to survive. But to understand that, it's necessary to understand this next part, and then it'll all make sense. Now, right and wrong. How does one determine what's right and what's wrong? In order to do that, it's necessary to understand or to be able to look at and confront life. And to be able to break down something as big and, you might say, complicated as life, it's easier to look at it in its component parts. And it could be considered that life can be broken down into 8 different component parts. And these are called dynamics. This material, by the way, is out of the book The Science of Survival by L. Ron Hubbard and the book Fundamentals of Thought by the same author. This is very common sense stuff. It's going to make sense to you. Now, the 8 parts of life, the 8 dynamics. I mentioned the common denominator of existence is survival, and so is the common denominator of each one of these dynamics. The first dynamic is the urge to survive as oneself. That's me, that's you, as an individual, your name. You'll admit you are trying to survive, aren't you? All right. That's part of life. That's just 1/8 of it, maybe even less than that. The second dynamic would be considered or called the family dynamic. That would be your family, your mother, father, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, grandfathers, wives, and children. All of these parts of your family and your family itself as an entity is also trying to survive. The third dynamic would be the dynamic of groups. You're probably part of many groups. Your place of employment, your local basketball team, your son's soccer team, the Lions Club, the bowling club, your poker buddies, your hunting buddies, your fishing buddies, local groups, theater groups, political groups, all the way up to national level. Political parties, all of these things are groups. Even the government itself, for this country and any other country, these are all groups attempting to survive. The fourth dynamic would be called the mankind dynamic, and that is the urge of mankind as mankind to survive as a species. The fifth dynamic would be the dynamic of plants and animals and all that sort of thing. The sixth dynamic is that of the physical universe itself. The seventh dynamic, that of spirits, and the eighth dynamic would be called the God dynamic or the infinity dynamic, and that is whatever you interpret it to be, but all these things together as a package comprise life. And to the degree that one takes responsibility for each and every one of these things to the utmost, one survives well in life. All right, so now we can take up the subject of decision making. And that is what constitutes a good or a bad decision, what makes an action good or bad, right or wrong. And it's very simple. You now have a quick summary as to what life is itself, and I'm sure you found that made sense. Okay. Now, if you're about to do something or make a decision, you ask yourself this question: will it harm or help a greater number of dynamics? You see, if you do something that winds up helping a lot of dynamics, well, to that degree it's a good action. And if you wind up doing something that harms the greater number of dynamics, rest assured that's a bad action or an evil one. Real simple. You go out and shoot a bunch of people. Well, you just wiped out a whole bunch of dynamics. Did you help any? No. That was bad. You see? On the other hand, sometimes necessary, of course, to harm a dynamic to help the greater number. A guy comes charging into your house, guns blazing, a knife between his teeth, and murder in his eyes, so you shoot him. We go, well, geez, you're not supposed to shoot people, that's bad. Well, he was about to wipe you guys out, probably. So by removing his 8 dynamics out of the situation, you benefited the greater number of dynamics, meaning yourself and all of your family members who were present. So this whole thing of what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad has to do with looking at the dynamics at large and realizing or deciding how they will be helped or if they will be harmed and to what degree, good or bad. All right. What about that guy I mentioned earlier who's committing suicide? And you go, well, geez, how could that be survival? How does this common denominator of existence of survival fit in there? Well, now you know that life has these 8 different parts. So, in actuality, his life is one dynamic. And in his mind, I'm not saying it's rational, but nevertheless, in his mind, he considers that by removing his one dynamic out of the situation, he is somehow benefiting the greater number of dynamics. Okay? He wants his family to survive better, or the world at large to survive better without him, and so on. And therefore, really, he is trying to survive, because all beings know that there's more to life than just their own body. There you go. Now, we have all the tools in place to be able to take up the subject that I've been getting to, which is the subject of the antisocial personality and how to identify them. Stay tuned.